My name is Stephanie Kelly, and I started Kelly Lab Services 7 years ago. Kelly Lab Services has now grown from just a drug and DNA testing business to now a training company as well that teaches other people across the United States on how to open their own drug and DNA testing business. So, how did I get into this? Well, it was 7 years ago, and I was at the time a CPS caseworker. And on my caseload as a CPS caseworker, I was dealing with parents who were suffering from substance abuse issues and addictions. So I studied everything that there was to know about drugs and addiction. So I became like an expert on drug use. I had to schedule the parents on my caseload to go get drug screens done 3 to 4 times a week at different clinic locations. The clinics that the county was contracted with for the drug testing were not that good, okay? I'm just being honest. So the clients reported back to me feeling like they were belittled, treated less than, they were not respected, and on top of everything else, the clinics were dirty, so they were filthy. That was an issue for me as a caseworker. I didn't want my clients going there. I saw that it was affecting their will to go to get their drug screens done, and it was very imperative that they went to get those screens done because that was going to help their case, basically. In my years as a caseworker, in my 5th year as a caseworker, I became a new mother and I had my daughter. And at that time, society was not really ready for breastfeeding mothers in the workplace. It wasn't designed to where a lot of the workplaces had breastfeeding rooms. And the type of casework that I was doing was mobile casework. So that meant I was driving around in my car all day, seeing clients at their homes. I was supervising visits between the clients and their children, which meant that I always had to be with them at all times during the visit. So pumping for breastfeeding was not a thing that I could do. So I ultimately decided that it would be best for me to quit my job. So I spoke with my husband. We decided it would be best for me to quit the job, and I became a stay-at-home mother. So I stayed at home and spent time with my baby, built a connection with my daughter, loved every single second of it. But at the same time, I started wanting to do something for myself. So with that, I decided, because I am a working woman, I have a working and giving spirit. I love helping people and I love doing stuff. So with that, I decided to get a job at a local daycare so I could take my daughter with me and still breastfeed at the same time, because I was dead set on breastfeeding for at least 1 year. So anyways, we went to the daycare, I got the job, and I had to get CPR certified in order to do the job. And I had never taken a CPR class before that point. Even as a caseworker, isn't that crazy, working with children and didn't have to get CPR certified? Anyways, during the CPR class, there was 2 guys. They came into the room. They went over some stuff with us for like 10 minutes, had us do compressions for another 10 minutes, and then they were like, okay, you're certified. And I was like, there is no way. There is no way that I am certified to do CPR. I do not know what I'm doing, even after taking the training class. There is no way you're about to hand me a certificate and say I'm certified. And they did. So I kept that in the back of my head, and I was like, wow, those guys are going around town making all this money doing CPR training, but they're not actually really training people. I wonder if I could do this better than they just did. And I knew that I could do it better. And I knew that there was a huge income potential from running a CPR training company. So anyways, I started the CPR business. Okay, I called my husband that day and I said, you know what? I'm going to look into starting a CPR training business because what I just went through was some BS, okay? And my husband knows me, so he's like, okay, because he didn't know anything about it either. And I was like, well, I'm going to look into it and see if this is something that I can do. So anyways, I started the CPR training company, and I started getting calls from local businesses for me to come to them to do the CPR training, just like the guys had came to the daycare, right? So when I went to the businesses, they were like, do you do drug testing? Because we need drug testing too. And if you can do both, then we'll just pay you for the drug testing and for the CPR. And you can just come out and do our drug testing. And I was like, well, no, I don't do drug testing, thinking I'm not qualified. I was thinking you had to be a nurse or have some type of medical background or, some big degree or a degree that I didn't have, because I had a degree, a bachelor's degree in communications for TV production, but I did not have a medical degree. So I'm thinking, well, no, I'm not qualified to do that. So I kept on doing my CPR training company. It was booming. It was doing so well. And once again, I went to another warehouse client of mine, and he was like, Stephanie, if you can figure out how to incorporate drug testing, I'm telling you, this would be big for you, because we have hundreds of employees who need drug screens. And then we have another couple hundred that we're hiring throughout the year that need pre-employment drug screens. And we do not like the company that we're currently using. They've lost a few of our drug tests. We can't get our results fast enough. It's a disaster. So can you figure this out, is what he told me on the side. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to figure this out. So I started doing research on it and discovered that you actually do not have to have a medical background. You don't have to have some type of medical degree. And you don't have to be a nurse. You don't have to have nothing, basically. You can just be a regular person who wants to do drug testing. It is that easy. Now, I will say there is a training and certification program that you have to go through, which we will get to that in a second. So I researched and found out the training and the certification you have to do. At that time, my CPR company, and of course me being a new mother and a new wife, was taking up enough of my time, and I could not devote the amount of time that I personally have to put into studying for things, because I don't just jump into stuff and be like, yeah, I'm going to start this business or I'm going to take this training class and wing it. I'm not a wing it type of person. I have to read the manual. I have to know step by step by step what is going on before I decide to get into something. Okay. So I knew that was going to take me some time to figure that piece out. Fast forward, one day I was watching Maury, and I have watched a lot of Maury because that used to be my favorite show after school. I used to watch it every day. One day I was watching Maury, and I really paid attention, and I noticed on the back of his envelope, and I promise y'all this is going to make sense, on the back of the results envelope that he had in his hand before he read off the results, it said DDC on it. And I was like, let me just look that up and see, what is this all about? So I went on DDC's website and noticed that it said become a partner. So I clicked on it, and this page opened up about how you can be a DNA test collector for the DDC, basically. And I was like, okay, so what type of nursing degree do I need for this? Once again, discovered that there's no nursing degree needed. So then I started finding other labs. They started popping up that also offered for you to become a collector. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this like a secret industry that people have been working in and making this money off of and ain't been telling people about it? It absolutely was one of those things that not a lot of people knew about. So anyways, I started calling this specific lab over and over again. I was talking to the same lab rep over and over again for about 3 to 6 months straight. And I kept calling. The first time I called, he was like, yes, you can open up a lab account with us. We will ship you DNA testing kits for you to use for your clients. All you have to do is go out and get the clients, do the tests, ship it to us, and then we'll charge you a small fee to process the results, and then you send the results to your clients, and that's it. And he was like, and you can make a good 6 figures off of DNA testing. And there was no fee for me to open up the account with them. And I was like, okay, you're telling me right now that you're going to open up an account for me. You're going to ship me these supplies. I'm going to do DNA testing on people. I've never done this before. I'm going to swab their mouths and send you back the swabs, pay you a small fee, and that's it. And then the rest is my profit. And he was like, yes. And I hung up that phone. I was like, yeah, no, that there's something else here that I'm missing, because it cannot be that easy. So I sat on it for another month. Called him again. I was like, okay, can you please explain to me the process again? Because I think I missed something the last time, because you said last time there was no fee. So he said the same exact thing to me again. He said, yes, ma'am. There is no fee to set up with us. We're going to open your account, ship you supplies. All you got to do is do the test, send it back to us, pay us our fee, and the rest is your profit. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. Don't think I'm quite ready yet. So he hung up the phone, and I was like, okay. So then, like, maybe 2 months later, I called again and I said, I know you've heard from me a couple of times now. This is the last time, but can you please go over the process one more time with me? I think I'm ready to do this. And so he broke it down, and it was the consistent messaging and the same thing. He said it again. Yes, I'm going to ship you supplies. All you got to do is do the test, send it back to us. The rest is your profit. And so I said, okay. And I signed up to do it. Not even knowing, y'all, how to do DNA testing, how DNA testing worked, or nothing. So I started studying hard and researching everything on Google. I started watching Maury even more and paid like really close attention to it. I started researching myself and doing all this research on how DNA testing works, chromosomes, how you get 50% DNA from one parent, 50% from the other, and how they come together, and the DNA markers and all this stuff. I studied all that on my own because I wanted to be knowledgeable. I didn't want to just jump into this because the lab at that time was not providing training. Okay, there was no DNA testing training courses. Okay, there was no training on this. So the lab expected you to know how this all worked. Okay, and they wanted you to start sending in samples. So you needed to know what you were doing, basically. And I had no clue. So I had to self-teach myself the DNA testing portion of this, okay? So I thought after doing all that work, I was like, okay, forget the drug testing. I'm just going to do DNA testing for a while. Okay, that lasted like 2 or 3 months. DNA testing was booming. It was off the charts for me. It was an immediate success in my area. And I had the CPR stuff going at the same time. And I was like, okay, this is more than enough for me. But then the client at the warehouse called me again, and he was like, Stephanie, did you figure out the drug testing thing? Because we need somebody ASAP. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Let me add on drug testing to the DNA testing. It can't be that hard. And maybe I'll just do them. I'll just have them as my one client. Fast forward, I get a phone call from an old client of mine that was on my caseload for CPS. Okay, they reached out to me, and they were like, they got their kids taken away, but it was the drug testing clinic that caused it because they were not showing up for the mobile collection. So they were coming out to their home to do their drug test for CPS, for their CPS case. But they were not coming, but documenting that they were coming. And I was like, well, that's unbelievable, and that is crazy. And so hearing that story, it made me upset. And I was like, oh my gosh, I bet you I can get contracted with the county to be a site that the people who are involved with CPS can come to my site and get their drug screens done. So here we go again. I started doing my research, thoroughly doing research on who has the contract, who do I need to contact so that I can become a part of that contract, because I wanted to make a difference. I was tired of the disrespect of people who were suffering from addictions. I was tired of the uncleanliness of those clinics, and I started remembering what I was going through as a CPS worker and what my clients were going through. And so I was like, okay, I have the means and the opportunity to make a difference in my community for the clients that I had before, or the clients or the type of people I was working with before. So I need to figure this out, and I need to do it, and I need to provide a better experience for everybody in my community as far as drug and DNA testing is concerned. So then I changed it from just a DNA testing business to DNA and drug testing because I wanted to get into it and really make a difference. Because I had the complaints from the warehouse manager and I had the complaints from the CPS clients. So both of these people are saying we're having unfavorable experiences trying to get drug testing done. I was like, it should not be this difficult, and people need to have some compassion and respect for people who are trying to get these services. So I decided that's what I was going to provide by starting Kelly Lab Services. So I talked to my husband once again, and I was like, look, this is something that we need to do. And on top of providing a better experience for our community, there is a lot of money that is involved in this that we can make from this. So we're not going to be destitute trying to make a difference in our community. And so he decided to trust me and left his job and partnered with me with the business and decided that he was going to help me run Kelly Lab Services. So we were together every day running our clinic. We got the CPS contract, we got the employer contracts, and it was just a beautiful situation. Now, of course, yes, there was many problems and hardships that came with running the drug testing clinic, especially having the CPS clients coming in and just dealing with the politics of everything. Because you have to understand, when I first started, there was no one who looked like us, looked like me in the industry. It was a white male dominated industry primarily. So we were up against that as well. And there was a lot of gatekeeping that was going on, and there was not a lot of support for somebody who looked like me in the industry. So through my program, you are able to get the guidance that you need in order to be successful in drug testing and DNA testing. So whether you want to have a physical location in your city or if you want to be mobile, coming through my program will help you make sense of what it takes to actually make that happen. So every student goes through the training program where you get the training that you need, you take the exams, and you get your certification. From there, each student then goes through the 8-step program that I have designed to help people structure their business properly. So you have to go through all 8 steps. After you are finished completing your 8 steps, then you go into the business review phase where I am reviewing every piece of your business, your address, your website, making sure you have a business email address, making sure your phone number works properly. I am reviewing all of your business stuff to make sure that you are ready to be successful in the industry. From there, I then help my students get lab accounts set up because you have to open up an account with the laboratory in order to get your supplies, like your cups and your forms, and your shipping supplies as well. You also have to have a lab account in order to send your specimens that you are collecting to the lab for analysis, because you're not actually analyzing the specimens, you're just collecting the specimens and shipping them off to the lab for analysis. And then the results come back and you give those results to your client. Okay, so that's kind of how the process works. After I help you get your lab accounts, I am there for you every step of the way. So setting up your business stuff like the standard operating procedures, how to service your clients, going over the steps with you if necessary, like the procedures on how to do the collections. So I am there for you every step of the way after you have set up your lab accounts and you're servicing your clients. All of my students can contact me at any moment that they have a question or need clarity on anything throughout their journey of being a new specimen collector and a new collection site. So that's how the program is structured. So the first step is getting your training, and you have to make sure that you are picking a reputable training company. Now, yes, I provide a very robust and rigorous training program for those people who are interested in getting into the drug and DNA testing industry. It is not easy, okay, because I want to make sure that the people that I'm training know what they're doing and that they're not going out into the world, into the field, and making huge mistakes and ruining people's lives, because we are doing drug screens for people who are in DOT positions, Department of Transportation. They're in safety sensitive positions. We are doing drug screens for people who are starting new jobs, who need to start their job to put food on the table for their kids. So we cannot be at our collection site messing up people's drug screens and preventing them from putting food on their families' tables. Okay, we cannot do that. So if you're going to go through the Kelly Lab training program, just know that I am serious about teaching the procedures. I am serious about people doing the right things in this industry. So if you think that you're going to get into this program and you're going to go out there and play around, I would go elsewhere if I were you, because I am very serious. I'm very passionate about this. I told you my story. I dealt with people with addictions. This is not something I want people to play around with. So if you want a very serious program and if you want to do the right things in the industry, then this is the place that you want to be. So first step is training. Second step is getting your lab account set up. Right now, I would tell you the industry is becoming more popular, and with popularity brings rule changes. Okay, so the labs are now charging a lot of money for you to set up your own lab accounts. So if you don't have a insider or somebody who is heavily connected in the industry to help you get your lab account set up, it's almost virtually impossible for you to get your account set up without paying a lot of money out of pocket. Okay. That goes for drug testing and for DNA testing. And that is why I took my training company a step further and became a third party administrator that's able to offer all of my students lab accounts as soon as they're done with their training program and as soon as they're done with the 8 steps of setting up their business. I am then able to offer them a lab account. Okay, to make it a lot easier. Because I'm telling you, the labs are checking business credit, they want references, they want bank references, and they want hundreds of dollars to open your lab accounts if you go to them directly as a new collector in this industry. So you need to be connected to someone who's able to help you get your lab accounts. And right now, the third party administrators are the ones that you should go to get your account set up. Okay, I have partnerships with other places too that are able to help you get your lab account set up as well, if for whatever reason you don't want to go through Kelly Lab. Okay, so once you do that, once you are able to set up your lab account, then it's time to start thinking about your marketing, because marketing is key in this industry. Okay, you are not going to just open this business and put it on Google and think that people are just going to pour in or start calling you for mobile services. You're going to have to get out there and you have to market your business and you have to market yourself. And good marketing in this industry comes from knowledge of the regulations. I'm not just talking about Department of Transportation regulations when it comes to drug testing. I'm talking about knowing your state regulations too for drug testing, because that is very important, because there's non-DOT, so non-Department of Transportation collections that you'll be doing, and then there's DOT. So you need to know your state regulations for drug testing as well before you go out marketing your services, because you need to know what the industry that you're targeting, what type of drug testing they need. There's all different types. There's urine drug testing, there's oral drug testing, you can do hair collections. Some companies want you to do instant testing. So there's all different types of testing that you can offer to your clients, and you need to know which one their industry needs according to the state regulations. So that is something that you have to do a lot of research on, a lot of studying on. So my program is heavy on studying and educating yourself about your state regulations and about the federal regulations as well. So let's break down how you are actually going to be able to make money from doing your drug testing and your DNA testing. So in order for this to work, you're going to have to go out and get your own private pay clients. Your private pay clients that you are going to target for drug testing are local warehouses, healthcare companies, daycares, colleges, and universities, because all of those places have drug testing policies in place where they need a clinic or a collection site to send their employees, to send students, to send everyone who needs a drug screen. They also are looking into, do you provide mobile collection services where we can just call you and say, hey, we got 20 people who need drug screens. Can you come to our location and do our drug testing on this date and time? So that would mean you're a mobile collector. Okay. I do want to reiterate, though, that doing drug and DNA testing does not require you to have an office space. You can do it 100% mobile. But I do want to say that you will still have to get a professional business address, but you do not have to have a physical location for people to actually come into. So that reduces your overhead cost a lot, because you're not going to have rent, you're not going to have utilities to pay for. So this is 100% mobile that you can do this. So basically, you find your own clients that need your drug testing services. They call you out to come and do their drug screens. You're going to send those drug screens back to the lab for analysis. Once the lab does their analysis, they're going to send you a bill, because they charge you a fee, a laboratory fee, to process your specimens. Okay? So the client privately pays you. So the client pays you. You invoice the client for, let's say, $1,000 to do their drug screens. They pay it out. You do the drug screens. You send your drug screens off to the lab, and then the lab will analyze your specimens and they will bill you for your specimens. And usually the bill, well, it varies depending on the lab and depending on where you are. The cost will vary for your lab fees. More seasoned collectors get charged way less from the labs than newer collectors. That's just the way it is. You have to build up your volume, and then you will be able to renegotiate your lab fees. But when you're just starting out, the fees might be a little high. Okay, so we're talking maybe $20 to $30 per screen that they're charging you. Okay, it just depends on the lab that you get set up with. It depends on the way that you're able to negotiate. So it just depends on a lot of things. So let's say they charge you $20 per screen. Okay, they're going to send you that bill. You're going to pay out that bill. The rest of the money that you made from the client from doing their drug screens is your profits. Okay, so on average, you're charging about $80 per drug test in most areas, okay, or more. So you do the 80, you take off the 20 for your lab fee. There's other fees that you need to factor in, like maybe a credit card processing fee, those types of things, taxes, that kind of stuff that you're going to have to plan for later on, of course, comes out of that. But you're making a pretty decent profit depending on the volume of screens that you're doing. So you can see how if you did a lot of drug testing, which you will do, because drug testing is a required service. So this is basically a recession-proof, pandemic-proof business, because it never shuts down. It has to keep going no matter what, because there's people in certain positions where a drug test is required in order for them to keep working, like truck drivers. They have to get drug screens done no matter what. So it doesn't shut down. So you're never going to be closed and not be making income from this business. The other way that you can make money from drug testing is by getting contracted with state and county agencies who need your services. So that is CPS, that is Department of Corrections, the police stations. There's a lot of agencies that have contracts available for drug testing in your state. So that is another way to make a lot of money. I'm talking a lot, because I told you the CPS contract gave us $350,000 annually. So there is a lot of money involved in drug testing. On the other hand, DNA testing. DNA testing is definitely a gold mine as well. Plus, it gives you the opportunity to help people get the answers that they need, to bring families together, or to have men get the answers that they need about if they are the father of a child or not. So you're giving people answers through your DNA testing services, and you're getting paid very well in the process, okay? So the way that DNA testing works is similar to drug testing. You will do the DNA test. So let me back up. The client will pay you for the DNA test. Let's say on average, the average cost for a legal DNA test out here in California is going to run you about $400, okay? Client pays you the $400. You're going to go do their test. You already got the 400. You're going to do the swabs, send it off to the lab. The lab is then going to charge you the lab fees, just like for drug testing. You got to pay your lab fee. The rest that you have is your profits from that, okay? So it is literally that simple. If you're doing DNA testing, it is through a buccal swab. So you're doing the cheek swab, the inside of the cheeks. There's no needles involved unless you are doing a prenatal DNA test. So if you are a certified phlebotomist, DNA testing is something that you absolutely should be doing on top of your phlebotomy services, okay? You don't have to be a phlebotomist to do the buccal swabs. You have to be a phlebotomist to do any type of blood draws, like the prenatal or the gender reveal testing that you can do through your DNA testing business. So if you're not a certified phlebotomist, you can always just contract a phlebotomist to do your blood draws for you. So if you have a lot of clients calling in for prenatal DNA testing, then you're going to want to have somebody, a certified phlebotomist, that you can just call and contract with to come and do those services for you, which is what I do because I'm not a certified phlebotomist. So there is a lot of money to be made in DNA testing. It is very rewarding, just like drug testing is. So these two services combined together will give you a very successful business, and it will change a lot of lives in your local community and beyond. Because when you get certified to do drug and DNA testing, you can do these services in all 50 states. So you are not just only able to do the services in your local area. If you go on vacation, you can do drug screens while you're on vacation. You can do a DNA test in a different state if necessary. So this is a national certification that you're getting by getting the training and getting certified. You can do this in all 50 states. So it really is that simple. The hard part is taking this seriously and getting the correct training that you need to get, okay? Because if you don't get the correct training from someone who knows what they're doing, then you are not going to know what you're doing, and then you are not going to make any money in this industry. And you're going to be affecting people's lives negatively because you're making mistakes on their drug testing or you're making mistakes on their DNA testing. Now, there is so much more that I need to share with you about this industry. I have so many stories to tell y'all. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that you are able to get the notifications of when I am posting new videos, because I am telling y'all, the videos are coming because I have so much to say. So hopefully, if you are new to the industry and you're watching this, hopefully this inspired you to take the leap and get the training and get your certification. If you are interested in joining my training program, you can click the link in the description below and it will take you directly to enroll in the training program. We have classes every month. Sometimes I host in-person classes in different cities and states, so you might be able to catch me when I have a in-person training in your area. But just click that link in the description below to get signed up for training and join the Kelly Lab training program. I want to leave you with this message. Make sure that you are living your dreams. Whatever that looks like for you, do it. Because if I didn't start way back 7 years ago, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I couldn't imagine not being in the position that I am in today. So just start. Start the business. Do what it is that you want to do. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let anything hold you back. Do it. Just start the business. I will see you next time.